What's going on, you guys? Welcome on back to the channel. Now, I wasn't planning on talking about ReZero again until Core 2 set to be released later in August, but I was going over my video that I posted for the finale again, and I was watching it, and while I love everything that I talked about in that video and I loved how it was presented, the one thing that I didn't like is my section talking about Emilia. I thought that section was very rushed and it definitely was not some of my best work. So think of this video as an addendum where I just talk about the Emilia section in full because there's so much great content that's within that section that I feel like it deserved to have a video completely focusing in on it. So without further ado, let's get into it. Let's talk about the Emilia section in full. So, first thing that I wanted to talk about is the very beginning, where we see the death of Anastasia. We see Meili essentially tell Subaru that he should just die, and Subaru accepts it. Subaru, at this moment in time, wants to die. And then that's when the hands envelop him, and that's when Satella shows up, and she just starts saying, I love you, I love you, I love you, over and over and over again. Now, when I first watched this, I didn't properly grasp what was going on here with Satella. And like when I was watching it, I kind of thought that she also wanted him to die, but thinking more about it and thinking more about Satella as a character and everything that's happened, that's not what she was trying to do. In this moment, she's trying to reinforce to Subaru that somebody loves him, even though he doesn't love himself. Because you have to remember Subaru essentially went on such a big character journey in season two, where he essentially learned how to value and love himself, right? Like he was able to learn from Satella that each time he uses return by death, like people are grieving him. And that's a lesson that he needed to learn because he thought return by death was a gift. Like, but he had to learn about that side of it as well. And because Subaru has lost all his memories, he doesn't like remember anything. Like he even promised Satella that he was going to save her, and he doesn't remember any of that. So when Subaru screams at Satella when he has his hands over his ears, like telling her to stop it because he doesn't love himself. That's when Satella, like you can clearly tell that she's shaken in that moment, and she's watching Subaru very closely because she wants to reinforce to Subaru that he's loved, right? Like even like I said, even though he doesn't believe it himself, she wants him to know that somebody loves him, that somebody cares about him, that somebody like wants the best for him because Subaru can't believe it himself. And another thing for Subaru that hurts the most as well is in season 2, we saw Subaru essentially like accept what happened with his parents, right? He was able to have that whole episode where he was able to talk to his parents, and even though he didn't really get to see them, like he made peace with what happened and he was able to move past his guilt about everything that happened with his parents. This version of Subaru didn't have essentially that whole character arc with his parents in season 2. This is a Subaru that's like pretty much raw, like fresh, taken away from Earth. Like this is the first thing that he's like seeing, just him being in the tower, dying over and over again, and not being able to trust anybody. This is all this version of Subaru knows, right? He doesn't know anything. So all he knows is essentially him having to process in real time like everything that's gone on with his parents. Cause like he knew that his parents loved him, right? He knew that his parents loved him like always throughout his entire life. But Subaru is a character that so deeply hates himself and doesn't love himself at that point in the narrative. Like he does not value himself at all as a human being. So that's why he was isolating himself. That's why like he was never around his parents. That's why he didn't want to wash the mug because he didn't think that he was worthy of love, and he didn't think that his parents loved him. Like even though he knew that they loved him, he didn't think that he deserved it at all. That's what makes this whole moment with Satella so perfect, right? Because even though Subaru doesn't believe it at all, like you see Satella just say over and over again, I love you, I love you. And you see the smoke, you see it start to envelop Subaru, and you see Subaru start to accept it a little bit. And then that's when the guiding light of Emilia comes in, right? So Emilia cuts away the hands and she takes Subaru away from there and they start running. And this is when the best section of the episode starts, where we see Subaru like just stop running. He says, I've had enough of this. And you see him utterly break down, right? You see him break down. You see him break down about Julius. Like, why is somebody like me trusted? Like, what do you guys see in Subaru Natsuki that I don't see? Because this is a version of Subaru that hates himself. He has so much self-hatred that he doesn't understand why anybody would value him here. He doesn't understand why all these people care about him so much. He doesn't understand why Julius would trust him, why Beatrice cared for him so much, why Anastasia was able to forgive him for everything. He doesn't understand it because he doesn't have any of these memories. So that's what's so gripping about this breakdown. This is a version of Subaru that knows nothing. He knows nothing. All he knows about himself is that he hates himself. That's the only constant for him as a character. So when you see this breakdown, you're seeing him having to internalize the fact and process that these people care about him and these people like have relationships with him, but he doesn't know them. He doesn't know them at all because he doesn't have those memories. All he knows is fear. And the fear that I think that's coming from is from Meili, because Meili is that trigger for his violent impulses, right? She's the only thing, like, she's always in his ear, kind of like egging him on to kill people. So that's why he's giving into these violent inclinations because he doesn't know anything else. But in that moment, when you see Subaru just break down in front of Emilia, that's when you see Emilia, like in my opinion, get one of like the best monologues that we've seen in ReZero. We see her essentially just walk through her entire life with Subaru, from meeting him in the loot house to taking him to Roswell's manor to like talking to him about the attack that they went through, like with Meili and Elsa. And my favorite part though was when she was talking about when they went to the Capitol together and they talk about their first big fight. Like that was the moment that I loved so much. And also like when they were talking about their date that they agreed to. But the moment about this that I love so much and why I love that they talk about the fight is such a turning point in the relationship. Just like the date is such a big turning point in their relationship romantically, this whole fight that they had was a huge turning point for them as people, right? That fight we saw Subaru at his lowest, like at his lowest in season 1, and then the whole reason why that fight happened is that Emilia was essentially, she wanted him to take care of himself and she felt like he was risking too much for her. That's what's so good about that fight. But then she's able to keep walking through it, right? She keeps walking through what happened like after everything there. She talks about everything with the white whale. She talks about like how they're just their journey to loving each other. Like it's such a good monologue, man. Like I can't really give it full justice because there's so many little nuances within that whole monologue that make it so much better. And like I love how she keeps asking, like she's so like nice during the monologue too. Like you can tell that, or like she can tell that Subaru doesn't remember any of this. Like she's asking like, do you remember our date? Do you remember stuff like this? And you can tell that while it hurts her that Subaru doesn't remember this, she wants to be there for him in this moment so that way he can process everything that's going on. And then she pretty much was at this point, she wants him, right? And Subaru at that moment snaps. Subaru snaps because Subaru still views himself as like good for nothing, right? He views himself as somebody who's not worth these words that Emilia is giving him. He feels like he doesn't deserve any of this. So when Subaru just breaks in that moment where he's like, Subaru Natsuki is a good for nothing. Like why does it have to be me? Why does it have to be me? That it can be anybody else. Anybody else could save you. Why does it have to be me? There's so many other people in this world. Why does it have to be me? And what I love so much is Emilia says, yeah, it could be other people, but I only want it to be you because anybody else could go and save me, right? Any other person could do that. There are lots of other stronger people in this world, but what this entire speech from Emilia was leading to, her talking about the date, her talking about their fight, her talking about everything that happened in season two, it all is leading up. It all led up to this, where she said, it wouldn't matter who saved me unless it's you because I love you, right? She wants it to come from somebody that she loves, right? Somebody who saves her. That's what's so good about this whole section because first we had Satella saying how much she loves him, right? And now we have Emilia saying it, and now everything is starting to click for Subaru, right? And then as soon as she says that, like, she loves him essentially, you see Subaru kind of have like an internal monologue where he still views Subaru Natsuki as like a separate entity, like a separate character, and he's pretty much just like how were you able to get with such a beautiful girl? Like you're like way out of your league. Like I love that moment. I love the fact that Subaru has internal monologues like this, and I love that he still is treating Subaru Natsuki as a separate character. Like the Subaru Natsuki that we know and love, he treats that as a separate character. I think that's a really cool detail because these two versions of Subaru Natsuki are completely different, right? Like the Subaru Natsuki we know, who had all this development and everything like that, that's a completely separate Subaru Natsuki to the one that we have now, who doesn't remember anything. So I wonder if they're going to kind of play with that more in Core 2, where the fact that these are essentially two separate Subarus. So I wonder if they're kind of going to like play with that more in Core 2. Like maybe like there will be more internal monologues. I don't know. I would like that a lot. But after that, like where Subaru has his internal monologue and he's looking at Emilia, and one directorial choice actually that I love is that before, when Subaru is looking like at Emilia, like he can't really like he can't see her reflection, but when through his eyes, but when Amelia is looking at him, all she can see is the man that she loves because Subaru feels like he's lost himself. He doesn't know anything. He doesn't know anyone. He hates himself. He doesn't love himself. But Amelia looks at him and all she sees is the man that she loves. I loved that so much. That is one of the best directorial choices that rezero has made. Just that one shot of Amelia looking at him and she sees like you can see Subaru's reflection through her eyes. That is so perfect that it perfectly encapsulates the entire message of this scene. Amelia essentially trying to just like get her feelings across to Subaru, show how much she loves him, show how much he means to her, and then you get like this beautiful moment where Subaru remembers everything from when the amnesia arc started. He remembers all these different characters, and that's when Subaru does his declaration to Emilia, where after she's professed her feelings, he in turn is able to accept that, and he gives his declaration to her as he calls himself Subaru Natsuki for the first time and means it, where he says, "I'm Subaru Natsuki, the man that Julius trusted, the man that Beatrice believed in, and the man that Anastasia forgave. I want to save you, Emilia, and everybody else." That is such a powerful moment. I also love how it's shot. I love how you can see Emilia just getting overwhelmed with emotion because this is the man that she loves, right? you can tell throughout the entirety of the amnesia arc that Emilia is worried about Subaru because he's not the man that she loves, right? Like he's clearly going through something, and this is her finally just being able to like get all these feelings across to him, and she's now able to help him in a brand new way because like I love that they now can operate on equal footing. Where at first it was primarily Subaru saving Emilia, and now Emilia is able to return the favor and save him. And now we have like a proper like in my opinion now their relationship is the best it's ever been. Once Subaru gets his memories back, it's going to be even better. But what makes this sadder though is after this great declaration and all that, like you see Emilia start to say Subaru, I think she was going to say I love you, but it gets cut off because that's when the like tower officially starts to break away. And what I like about this scene so much too is that Emilia, I feel like she knows that all of this is going to happen. She knows that the smoke is going to catch up. She knows that the tower is starting to crumble, but she wanted to make sure that Subaru, the man that she loves, like knows how much she loves him. That honestly was one of the best parts of the entire scene in my opinion. The fact that Emilia knows that time is running out, but she wants to do this for Subaru so that way he knows just how much she loves him. That's one of the best things in the entire that's like one of the best parts about this entire section. But then like the ground officially breaks from underneath them. Like you see Subaru save Emilia in that moment. They hold each other close, and that is when we get Subaru essentially like internalizing and essentially vocalizing to us that even if you guys forget me, like I will never forget you ever again. This is where everything starts, and then we like oh wait, before I even get to the end, we get to hear "Stay Alive" again. Hearing "Stay Alive" again was one of like the best parts of the entire episode because it perfectly encapsulates everything about this entire section. Like it's one of the best songs that's in ReZero's OST library, and they brought it back in such a perfect way. Like I always wondered if they would ever bring like a song like that back, and bringing it back in this way, perfect, actually perfect, especially with how this is Emilia professing her love to Subaru. Perfect, best way they could ever utilize this entire song again. Like it's just so good. The fact that it's overlaid like throughout the entire scene too, dude, it's just so good. Like the fact that it's overlaid through like Subaru's like declaration to Emilia, where she's becoming overwhelmed with emotion. It's peak. It's one of the best. I love it so much. And again, what I also loved too was like when Subaru essentially, like I said, declares that I won't forget any of you ever again, even if you forget me. We then cut to like the title screen, and then it's Subaru looping again. It's Subaru looping back to like where we were before. And what I like about this new loop is that at first he looks scared, but then he sees Emilia and Beatrice, and then he just smiles because this is a Subaru that now has learned to love himself, has learned to like realize and like understand that he has relationships with these people, that they're not out to kill him, that they don't want him dead. And now like he can fully work towards saving them. That's why he says at the very last scene, the very last shot, he says, I'm going to save you. I love that. Like this is one of the best sections in all of ReZero. But actually what makes this worse though, and actually what makes it sadder, is like Amelia is not going to remember this confession. She won't remember it because he returned by death. But even though she won't remember it, it's so important because it allows for this version of Subaru to have an emotional anchor, right? Amelia has become his emotional anchor again. The reason why he was so lost is because he didn't have that anchor. Now that he has Amelia again, And now that he has, or that he knows that he has that love, even though she doesn't remember the confession anymore, he knows that she confessed to him. He knows that she has this deep, profound love for him. So he now has that emotional anchor again in order to save everyone. Bro, this whole section is so good. There's so many little things about this section that make it even better, dude. Like Emilia is made an even better character with this entire section. So I loved it. I loved it so much, and I'm really glad that I made this video. Like, like I said, I wasn't happy with how the whole Emilia slash Satella and Subaru section came out, like in the first video that I made about the finale. So I'm really glad that I got to make this video talking about this entire section in depth. I hope that it was a lot more comprehensive than the last video was, but I still feel like there could have been some stuff that I missed. So if there are things that I missed, please let me know because this is one of my favorite sections now in all of ReZero. So I would love to learn just even like the littlest of nuances. That would make it even better for me. So with that being said, I think I might make some more ReZero videos before like the season or before Core 2 happens, but we'll wait and see. But until then, guys, comment, subscribe, and as always, I'm going to talk to you guys in the next video. Bye.